For more on the situation in Egypt, I'm joined by Peter Bechtold. He's a professor and the former director of Near East and North Africa Studies at the U.S. State Department's Foreign Service Institute. Why don't you give me your first thoughts on all of this? How do you frame things?
Well, it is very sad to hear about the continuing violence that your correspondent shared with us. Unfortunately, it is predictable because the country is very much divided, and there is a history in Egypt of demonizing the other. And the other is defined by the Muslim Brotherhood on the one hand, and of course the military and its allies on the other.
Let me ask you this. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said that this is a pivotal moment for Egypt. They need to take a step back from the brink. Having listened to what you just said and knowing the historical context, how likely is that?
It's not likely. The Secretary had to say that, and of course he means it, and much of the world would like to see a peaceful resolution, but all of us who have studied revolutions in general know that they are like wildfires and they have to burn themselves out. I'm very sorry to be pessimistic. However, you know, the larger context is that your audience needs to understand that there are three internal factors in Egypt that make it very unique. One of them is the role of the military, which has been in power for 60 years, and you can go all the way back to Muhammad Ali. That makes it almost 200 years now. It's a very, very powerful institution. And it is not just a military institution, it's also the army of production. It controls 40% of the economy. They make their own guns, their gun site factories, they make their refrigerators, they make household appliances. And so they are very powerful, not just militarily, but also economically as an employer. The second thing they need to understand is that Egypt's daily life is extraordinarily harsh. 85 to 90% of the population lives in 4% of the territory, because 96% of Egypt is total desert. And therefore, control and top-down authoritarianism is very much a part of the experience of Egyptians, whether it is Mubarak or Morsi or now General Sisi.
Well, Peter, you know, during Mubarak's era, the Muslim Brotherhood was driven underground. They were banned. There have been cases where many of them were tortured. Are we moving back in that direction? Because there were so many calls initially from the interim government that this would be an all-inclusive government, and they were kind of sort of holding out the olive branch, but it doesn't appear to be the case.
You're right. Unfortunately, again, the language that has been used in the last few days has been one of demonization of the Muslim Brotherhood. When you call them terrorists, you make it impossible to deal with them. You exclude them from any future negotiations. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood has not been anxious to enter into negotiations because they insist on what they always refer to as the legitimacy of the elections and of their president. And so the trick is going to be, is there somebody who can bridge the divide? Now, your correspondent mentioned that there's a third group that is appalled by both the military and the Brotherhood, and they want to, you know, negotiate some sort of accommodation, but I'm afraid that for the time being, their numbers are quite small.
Peter Bechtold joining us live from Portland with his analysis of things in Egypt. Thank you so much.